Check, check. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I'm hoping I'm not too delayed today. Here, I was just updating the time on this thing. Yeah, welcome to Psychedelic Saturdays. Basically, what I'm going to be trying to do is we're going to spend like the first 40 minutes kind of building out a rough, really simple, basic VJ set. And the cool thing is, if you were with me yesterday for Freestyle Friday, we will be taking some of the loops that we created. So we made this one and this one. And we'll be setting it up so that we can use this MIDI controller, which I have over here. You can see, just a really standard MIDI controller. And we'll take that and basically map it out and do some different things with that. So that's kind of the goal. Yo. And that's basically what we're going to be doing. And then the last 20 minutes, we'll be jamming. But yeah, the first thing we're going to want to do is, so yeah, welcome to Psychedelic Saturdays. It's about to get trippy. Some trippy visuals on the way. So I'm going to delete this for now. We don't need this. And we'll basically be pretending this is our output. This thing in the background here is our main output. Yee. Shouts out Full Giga. Did I say that right? Full Giga in the chat. Shout out. So yeah, we're going to be taking it and basically mapping out our controller so that we can switch between these sketches, even blend. And this is stuff that we've made throughout the week, which is kind of cool. And yeah, essentially, the goal is to kind of make something that we can jam with at the end. So that's basically what we're going for. So first thing I'm going to have to do, and this is kind of the crazy part of Touchdesigner, you're going to have to go in here and go to MIDI Device Mapper. The shortcut is Alt-D, and that pulls up this. And my controller is plugged in and it's got everything going, but it doesn't even see it right now because I have to create a new mapping. So I'm going to create a new mapping. I'm going to choose the device. It sees a bunch of different MIDI. There's some MIDI outputs that come with the Akai MPK25 that it sees. And my audio interface that I'm using, my Focusrite, also has some MIDI, but we're going to use the Akai 25. In terms of a map, there is no map. The nice thing is some of these, like if you have a Nano Control or Accession Pros, which these are all kind of old now, or even a Chaos Pad, it already has some pre-made maps for you. The Akai 25 is a little, you could probably download one somewhere, but we're just going to make our own. Once you get this part done, you can exit out of that menu, and you can go back into it if you want to, just by hitting Alt and D. That'll take you back. But now, if I drop a MIDI in, you see nothing there. But now if I go in and I start to hit the buttons on my MIDI controller, they start to populate. And if I spin all these dials, which we'll probably use a lot more of these dials than anything. But yeah, now basically you've got, these are the pads you can see, and they're actually pressure sensitive, which you might want to use. We're using the Akai MPK25. But you can use any MIDI controller with Touchdesigner, which is great. And then basically, once you get this data in, you can kind of change it how you want to. But one of the things I'm noticing is these buttons are pressure sensitive. and that's going to give me weird values if I'm going to use it in a certain way. So one of the things you can do on a lot of different MIDI controllers is you can click a button called full level, and now I believe if you look, yeah, it will make it so it goes 0 to 1, which will be a lot easier for us to kind of set up our VJ setup with. And already off the bat, I know some stuff. So we had some controls in here that we were using. I'm going to want to just delete that off because I'm actually going to want to send that further down my stream. I'm going to want that to be right before the output. And we can delete this. That's just if I wanted to record it. So first thing I'll put in, definitely going to want an HSV adjust. What that can do is with this hue offset control here, we can make it so we can cycle through different hue sets really easily. And also it's just a fun button to, you can just move that button and you get some trippiness right there. Another really good one that I use a lot is a channel mix, and we'll put that before that. And what we can do is on our master, we can set up so that we have, you know, red, green, blue control. And this is great if you're VJing and you know, oh, I want it all to be red, you know, because the lights are red, or, oh, I want to creep in some green, or, you know, make it more of the pink and blue stuff. And so we'll use that as our main kind of color control. In here, I was thinking we could use this control. This is a unique control, and you'll see it. It says channel 1, control 2 there. That's the mod wheel on the keyboard. And I feel like that would be a good one to use for this, which is our switch, which will switch between our different sketches. You know, we have this one, which is just a replicator generative sketch. And then in this one, we have just a particle system with spheres that's kind of color changing. And then in this one, this is where our clips are. And we might want to create a switch between the two clips if we want to switch. So that's something that we'll have to put a pin in our hat if we want to switch those clips. And how we want to do that, we could use even, because we're using a keyboard, we could have a keyboard button do that too. So you could have, again, the problem with that is you're seeing it's velocity sensitive. Even though I have it on full level, I don't think that applies to the keys. So you have to hit it really hard to get it to be 1. There's a way to get around that though, because basically it's always going to be 0 if it's untouched. And if it hits anything that's above 0.1, you can make it go to 1. So we might do that and have that one button just be a switch that we can switch between those two clips. And that's this part of setting these things up, is kind of thinking about those things. So we've got a HSV adjust, we have a channel mix. What else might we want? A tile is a good one. And I like to set it up so that it's, so instead of being like this, you can kind of make it like a kaleidoscope effect if you reflect everything. And you'll see you get some incredibly like fractal-esque look. And you can just turn that on or off. We could either create a switch, which would be one way to do it, or you could literally just bypass it, set up a bypass. But I think we'll create a switch because it'll just be smoother. So basically, you either want this style or this style before it comes out. And maybe we make that this pad up here. But yeah, so you dial in a switch here, and you'd have your, you'd have your crazy one mixed with your other one. But you'd actually want to switch it so that the normal mode, when it's off, it's this. And then I think maybe when I hit this button, it tiles it. So basically, now maybe we're ready to do our first little mapping. Um, you always want to save with these things because you're working, and as you're working within it, you might come up with something really cool and then not be able to recreate it. So I always say save a lot. The other thing was creating a button in here to switch between this, but that's not too important now. Let's set up our first one. So we have this blend between options. Now for this particular one, we're just going to pretend this is all I'm jamming with today. You know, this is the stuff that we've worked on this week. You know, we made this cool visualizer on Tuesday, and then on Friday we made these cool clips. Now it's the weekend. We're getting ready for our VJ set. This is all the content we got. We got plenty of stuff, believe me, especially if you can start to tweak it. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is get my mod wheel in here. So selecting that, I know it's that piece. So you're going to use the select chop. And I'm actually just going to look for that. It's channel 1, control 2, right? This is it, yeah. So you can see that goes 0 to 127. That's not, and the significance of that is, so someone's asking in the chat here, is there a way to change scene by pressing a button assigned to one specified scene? Yeah, you could set it up like that. If you wanted to do like a more of a movie player setup, you could do that where you created much in the same way that you might do a replicator here. You could set it up so you had clips and you made them buttons, and then you could, every time you hit a clip or a button, it would play that particular one. So that is totally possible. Maybe we will do that next time. For this one, we're just pretending that this is kind of like always running in the background, and we're constantly kind of going to be kind of jamming these different things. But we can add some stuff like speed control in here for things like this. If you went in and added some control in here, you could certainly start and stop clips. Yeah, totally agree. 100%. Yeah, that is I mean, it's definitely, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. If you wanted to set up a very specific show where you knew you were going to have this clip be this part, this clip be that part, this clip be that part, then yeah, you might want to control everything. And then you wouldn't even want to use a switch, perhaps. You might want to generate a whole new interface for that. But for this, like I said, we're just doing a jam. We're not getting too specific, but excellent questions. And like I said, maybe on one of the next ones, I'll prep a little more and we can dig into a definite more traditional clip-based, maybe an A-B setup where you have clip bank A and you have clip bank B. We can definitely like explore that because it's, I mean, it's a great point. So we're just going to grab this mod wheel and we're going to use what's called a math, and I'm going to set it up so instead of being 0 to 127, we're going to just have it go 0 to 3. And now I'm going to set up a null here. This just habit, I don't know, I've been doing this for a while and nulls are just good to have. Put that in there. You're going to want to use, you can use expert chop. You don't want to use current value chop. That just gives it 1.063. We're just going to use chop reference. And so now my MIDI controller will blend between the 3 inputs here. So it's a little harsh, so I've got to be kind of careful. But that can be good too because I can quickly move from one clip to the next. And yeah, I like this. That's cool. All right, let's set up a little bit more control. So we've got that now. And I mean, if you wanted to, you could kind of smooth this out using some logic chops and whatnot if I wanted to. I think a filter might be what I'm looking for here. Might be too extreme, but you can kind of see with a filter it'll filter it a little better. And so you can kind of play with that as well. So we've got that. That's kind of our first thing that we set up. Then we wanted to make this, I don't know, should we make this a button or a key? Maybe let's make this a key. So yeah, so I'm making it the first C. So I'm gonna like basically use this same thing, but instead of finding that, I'm gonna look for this note here, channel 1 N37. You can even just write that. So channel 1 N37. That's gonna be my key. And again, I'm gonna use a limit this time. Do I want a limit? Or no, I think I want a math. Want a math. And basically I want to say if it's anything above 0.1, make it go to 1. And this way it'll switch over and it'll do our tiling effect, essentially. So if I go in and chop reference that now, you can kind of see how I have that control now. And if I pull other stuff through it, it will hold on to that effect, or I can turn that effect off. So yeah. So now we have kind of those two things in place. For the channel mix, and this is kind of getting messy, right? So one thing I could do, and you can do this however you want, I'm going to collapse this selected and just call it MIDI stuff. You could even dump those in there as well, but I'm just going to leave these outputs out. Like I said, we're doing this kind of quick and dirty. We're just grinding away. But in here, again, I might want to do another select. So it's a select here. And I'm going to want to find, we'll use these three. So this one, and this one. So, and you can search for multiple channels. So what was my first one? It's 13. So channel 1, CTRL 13. And let's make sure that's the right one. You spin it around. Yeah, and I think I can just put them all together for now. 14 and 15. And kind of the same thing. So I think these go 0 to 127, which is just the MIDI protocol. So that's just, if you look up MIDI protocol 127, I don't fully understand it, but maybe there's like a picture or something. There we go. Boom. So this was the original, what they thought that they were going to use this for. It's like a music thing. You can see main volume is supposed to be channel 7, general purpose controllers 80 to 83. Anyway, but it's become kind of the gold standard for controllers for the time being, although there are other ones on the horizon. And so the same thing we're going to want to do is create that range change. So from 0 to 127 to 0 to 1. And then we're going to put that into a null. What? excuse me, we don't even need to put it into an all. We'll put it into an out. That'll be another output out of this, which I think is right here. And yeah, this should have all three of our values there. And we'll put that into the channel mix. So 13 will be red, chop reference, 14 will be green, chop reference, and 15 will be blue, chop reference. And that's red, green, blue, and that gives you, now we should have, you know, there. We got control of the colors, so we can kind of jam that out like that. And for the last one, which I should have just put that in with everybody, but it's actually going to be a little different, so that's okay. So I think we're looking for 16, so we'll change that to 6, and then math, we want to do the same thing, but instead of 0 to 1, we want to take it from 127 to 0 to 360 to get it closer to the range for our HSV adjust, which is hue, saturation, I think value. I don't really know. And now we'll have our final dial over there that will control this hue offset value. So now you can see I can kind of trip that out as well. If I want to change, you know. So now we've got a little bit of control here. No doubt of that. We could even add in some more buttons if we wanted to, besides just our tile button here. So maybe we want a button that the next C will change the geo in here. So what we can do is do same thing, a switch in here. You know, it's mainly on these spheres, but maybe you want to switch it to squares. So a nice thing up here, you can click this button and it'll give you 2 panes. So I'm now looking at same thing. That can be helpful if you want to go up a level and you know, I'm actually going up 2 levels and I'm trying to find some MIDI information in here. So I'm going to want to grab this key, which is channel 1 and 39. So parameter channel 1 and 39. Same thing. I'm just putting in a math. I'm going to change the range from 0 to 0.1 equals 0 to 1. You just put this in a null, and then we can pretty much attach it from here. And that's what's cool, is it will recognize where it is. It knows it's, you know, parent 3 in the operator MIDI stuff, null 1, blah, blah, blah. And that's what this is. So now, oh, what's it getting mad about? Oh, index is out of range. So it's just getting mad because it's like the number it's going to is beyond. So I'm going to put a clamp on it, and that should eliminate that problem. So now it can't go above 1. But yeah, we've got the squares now. We can do this, and we can change the color of our HSV. And we can even, you know, take color stuff out. And another thing we wanted to add was maybe we want to go 1/4 key here to switch the clips in here. So same thing, I might add a switch. And what's cool about this is, and I totally get it, for a future one, we'll definitely look at building out just a traditional VJ set. But this is almost cool in its own way because it's kind of more like a visual synthesizer. Like this is all kind of generating on its own, and when you go in to start jamming, you'll see you can start to control these different things, and you really get some results that are way different than what the original clip looked like or things like that. So there is some fun in building out something that is kind of wacky like this. Maybe doesn't seem as useful. So we're looking for 41. And I'm just going to copy this whole logic. So Control C, Control V, 41. Create a null for that. And now we're going to add that to this switch. And now we can switch that clip to our spinning candy cane clip and really get crazy with that. Okay. So this button tiles, this button changes the cubes, if I'm correct. Yeah. And this one switches that one clip. And then maybe we could get something for our replicator friend here. So I might close out of that. To do that, that's Alt-Z. In this clip, I'm trying to think, oh, you could have it switch between these modes, maybe to, so all these modes, they're actually just numbers. So you'd have to figure out, you know, when it's resting, make it be this number, but then maybe have it be this number. Yeah. So switch between 10 and 28. So let's go to 2-pane again. And we're going to go into that MIDI stuff. And we'll add, so I already know based on how this is going that I'm going to want to add this to 43. It's going to be the one that we're going to want, which will be maybe it's not 42. Let's find out what the number is here. 42. Okay, so I was off. And yeah, we're gonna basically, so what we're gonna have to do here is now say when it is 0 to 1, it is actually 10 to 28. And I think that should work. So now when I, yeah. So that's a sneaky one. And now when I put this down here, chop reference, yeah, it's going to stay on dimmest and it'll move to this other mode. So you actually can't see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. But yeah, I can change the modes now between kind of dimmest and negate, which is kind of a brighter look. Alright, how are we doing on time here? Doing pretty good. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I love that people are coming up with like really good ideas for the next one already. Definitely we'll try to set up a A/B thing. I'll have to kind of start on some of the replicator stuff before, but I can show the basics of that. But that'll be fun, and then yeah, we can set it up kind of like a DJ mixer where you have channel A and channel B, and you just want to mix between those clips, and you've got clip banks, and maybe you want to change banks, like change bank A is for the first part of the show, then you go to B, then you go to C, so that type of thing. But I dig it. For the final thing that I'm thinking here, I wanted to add a transform. Let's see if it can it see this? Oh yeah. So pitch is really unique on this MIDI controller in that it goes -1 to, it doesn't really go to 1. I don't know like why that is. It goes to 0.9999. So very close to 1. And I was thinking we could use this to do some cool, especially because of how you can see how it moves. It's like you can very easily do that. So what I was thinking is to add a transform at the end here and go in and use tile, and I think let's use mirror and basically attach, because this, I think if this goes, yeah, it has no problem going negative. So I know it kind of looks wonky though, but maybe have it go so that you can get almost to 0. And then it can also stretch out if you want to. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But it would work on both. But anyway, let's just try it. We'll see what happens. So it is called pitch. So this one should be really easy to find. From -1 to 1, from 0. So so I'm just trying to see if I can get it to be, so it's resting state. Yeah, there we go. So its resting state is 1, but you can make it, yeah, there we go. This could be really cool. I'm gonna put a filter in because I already know it's gonna be kind of aggressive, and then just a null. And now let's try that attached to our scale here. Maybe take the filter off. Well, it's an audio filter. I just wanted a filter. Let's see, with the filter now. Oh, and I only did it on the one. I wanted to actually do it on both. I think it'll look cooler. Yeah. So hopefully I'm not tripping the stream out too much. So yeah, we've kind of built a little bit of a sketch here with some MIDI stuff, and then this would be our output here. So we'll be outputting out here. Yeah, so as you can see, we've gained quite a bit of awesome control. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty fun to jam on. And as you can see, it's just wild how much a little bit of just messing around, and you can get all kinds of different looks. And then what was the other? Yeah, there we go. We can get this in the fray. All right. So that's sort of a basic little bit of a setup. I'm trying to think of anything else that we'd want to. You could add some feedback amount if you wanted to control that on this particular one. It should be in the middle there. So I don't know if you want to even do this, but you could bump this up. The more it gets bumped up, the more it'll feed back into the system. That's not really having too much of an effect on it. Oh, you could do this, switch between that and that. Trying to think if I want to, how I want to do this. If I want to make this a button or a pad, maybe. Let's try it just as a pad. We haven't even done a pad yet. So this top pad, pad 10, channel 2 N77. So channel 2 N77. Let's see it coming through. So I'd have to hold it if I wanted it to, but this is kind of perfect for this one because this button makes it so all this stuff clumps together. So you can kind of hold it and then let go of it when you want. And if I have it as squares, you can see probably even more of how much it clumps together. Alright, that heated up the computer a little bit. I'm going to save. And yeah, I feel like we're in a good spot to actually throw down a little jam here. So let's do a little jam. I'm pretty happy with how it is. We'll see how this goes. I'll try to get it so that the camera can kind of see me over here. But yeah, I'm going to play some songs right now off an EP that I've been working on. If you've been following a lot of the stream stuff, you've probably seen we had the mixing mastering on Thursday, and we actually wrote one of the songs on Wednesday. So without further ado, here we go. Hold on. I don't know why it's trying to open it. There we go. Woo! Shouts out everyone watching. The crew, chat gang in full. Got a little crazy on that one. Hey! All right, so if you stuck with it the whole time, I hope you definitely learned something. Got to see some of this. I wouldn't say your full Giga is right. This isn't really exactly how you'd want to set up a traditional VJ setup. This is more like a video synthesizer where we took some of the clips we made and mixed them in. Still fun thing to do and a great practice. I can't tell you how much you can learn from building one of these, but for the next one, we're going to try to take on a more traditional AB style VJ setup. Maybe I'll bust out a different controller for that. I know I have one with more faders and a little more DJ bass somewhere around here. So maybe I'll dig that up for the next one, but I can't tell you. Thanks so much for tuning in and checking it out. I love that people are in the chat asking questions. That's huge. Stay doing that. Keep pushing it. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to email me. You know where Party on Mars, MARZ @gmail.com. So feel free to hit me up there. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do the next one, to be honest. And yeah, what's cool about these is we've taken something and kind of made it so that we can manipulate it and do all kinds of different things with it. So it's really fun to build these things. This is kind of like a video synth with a little bit of some clip stuff in there, but it's all kind of pre-baked in. So yeah, for the next one, we'll go full deep dive in on a full kind of AB VJ setup. But if you stayed tuned in the whole time, thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's session is going to be, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is the Sunday Fun Day. 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific time, Sunday Fun Day. That's where I do a mystery stream. So whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm in the mood for, could be anything. So get ready for that. Until tomorrow, I'll see you again tomorrow, hopefully for the Sunday Fun Day. I'm trying to think of what I might do. I don't know what I'm even going to do. So could be anything, any number of things. But yeah, that's the beauty of the mystery stream. Maybe actually draw, maybe plotting, maybe some weird audio program. You just never know. So it's Sunday Fun Day. You got to tune in to find out what the stream's about. And then after that, it's back to Modular Mondays, 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific time every Monday. So thanks so much for tuning in. We're really trying to build this thing. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. So cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.